There we go. Let's get our Facebook friends in here and we can officially take off and wheels up and be cruising. Got the wheels spinning, 1 and 2. All right, welcome in, welcome in. It is Tuesday evening, July 22nd. My God, Carl, this month has absolutely flown by. And we are coming up to a pretty fun anniversary here. It was just, I think, 1 day from today where we met up in Vegas. Maybe it was 2 days, and made the drive across Death Valley to make that Mount Whitney attempt. So it's been going pretty well since then. Obviously, it's the last time we saw each other in person. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. It has been a crazy month. Thinking of all the things that we've gone through. My daughter just had surgery yesterday, her first surgery, so she was kind of in freak out mode. We weren't allowed to call it that. She was going to the appointment. And so she'd feel a little bit better, but she's been doing pretty good. Got a phone call today that said, "Hey, your dog's on Main Street." So Scape Artist was out there, and yeah, so it's like I said, it's been kind of a crazy day, but it's been a good week, and excited about obviously training camp kicking off, man. Football's back. Oh, well, kind of. I mean, I consider this football back. There's actual football news. Players will be on the field. So I'm definitely pumped up for this.
I mean, we've talked about it a lot on here, right? It's kind of the general ramp up to the regular season. But this is step one. So hopefully, can you hear me right now? I can't control anything on my end.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. Okay. We're good. We're rocking it again. The computer freaked out for a second. No reason to freak out, though. We got Papa Bear saying, "Good evening, Broncos country, 13-4 plus." Love it. Thank you so much for coming in at 4:31. So as Chad was messaging us to get the stream off the ground and everything. So appreciate that. He's waiting for us. We're always waiting for you, Papa Bear. Well, we don't have to wait because you're always here right away. We appreciate you. We got also Mike Thompson coming in, as well as Ernie Mace here and on Facebook. So Ernie dropping the thumbs up over on the Facebook side. Double dipping. We appreciate it. Maybe hop over to Twitch and X as well and give us a hello and a thumbs up. You know, we're not above that at all. Good to see you. We also got MBLE Test Prep. He says, "I am party. Yo soy fiesta." Scott was giving me a nice Spanish lesson beforehand. "Estoy aquí para la fiesta." I am here for the party. I think I did okay. I guess I took French like an idiot. I did not like my Spanish teacher in middle school, and I did French 1 and 2 in middle school and 3 and 4 in high school, and I didn't have to take it in college. And I was like, I really didn't enjoy that too much. But in hindsight, it would have been very smart to have taken Spanish more so than what I have right now. So that's a big regret I have.
I've lived in 2 separate Spanish-speaking countries, and I'm still terrible at Spanish. And I still remember one of my most embarrassing moments was when somebody came up and they were trying to get me to date some girl from Ecuador. And I was turning beet red because, you know, they're just talking about, "Oh, you two would make a cute couple," all that fun stuff. And one of them walked up and they said, "Oh, Carl, tu embarazada?" And I was like, "Sí." And they all burst out laughing. I'm like, why in the world are they laughing? Embarazada means pregnant.
Oh, well, see.
So,
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So that was even more embarrassing moment once I figured that out like 2 weeks later after they kept rubbing my belly.
Well, God bless them. That's good for them. A little lighthearted fun. I knew it's talking about not having embarrassing moments. What I do remember from Spanish is "Donde está el baño?" So to avoid embarrassing moments, that's one I have in my back pocket, just in case. We got Doug. Oh, we got. I'd pay extra for belly rubs. Yeah, that's a super chat. Appreciate. We got Michael Ronquillo in the house. Good evening, Nick and Carl. I'm building the Broncos. Go Bo Broncos. Good to see you, Michael, over on Facebook. And I see people in chat talking about it. Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne passed away, 76 years old. You know, a lot of people are born and die, but not everybody lives. And, you know, you can live whatever way you want. But, man, that guy, he lived a heck of a life. So I just always think of the Osbourne. So, Sharon, the dog on the carpet again. But God bless him. You know, always will love Crazy Train. I mean, God, that's I'm not as much of a hardcore rocker. I'm sure Scott has a lot more opinions on the discology of Ozzy, but rest in peace to a legend, 76 years old. But that's a lot of life lived in those 76 years for sure.
That it is. And, it, like I said, I know a little bit of his music, know a little bit of his story, and seemed like an interesting dude to hang out with for anybody that got that opportunity for sure. But just hopefully his family having a good time celebrating the life that he lived, and just wishing the best for them as they mourn him leaving for sure.
Yeah, I mean, lived a life, and rest in peace, Ozzy. We got Chase Wellner in the house. Great to see you, Chase. David Youngkin saying rest in peace, Prince of Darkness. And we got our guy, the Crunch. David Carmelo says, good evening. Do you guys see a strong argument for Karlaftis as good or better than Bonitto? See you tomorrow, Carl. So, well, there you go, Carl. You got a date. Nice. Remember, no pregnancy in Spanish. But, yeah, they're different kind of players. Karlaftis a little bit more of a pocket cruncher, early down player. I mean, he'd play opposite off of Bonitto really well. I know that Eric will disagree with me if we talk about this tomorrow, but Bonitto, because of what he brings to the table as that like strikeout pitcher, if you will, or a power hitter, if you will, maybe not as completely well-rounded as Karlaftis, but he has the most important thing you can do for a pass rusher, which is get after the quarterback and get sacks. So I think that Karlaftis' contract is probably on the lower end of what you should expect for Bonitto, personally, but we will see. I mean, the market, we saw what TJ Watt looked like. It's not going to be TJ Watt, but I would expect somewhere in the Karlaftis neighborhood, maybe with a little sugar sprinkled on it, maybe 5% more, 10% more, and maybe even a little bit more in the guarantees because Broncos got rich owners and the Chiefs do not.
Right. Well, and obviously his isn't getting done quite yet. So like I said, he's going to get that little bit of bump depending on when they do get this done. And I'm with you. I do think Bonitto offers that wow factor that really can change a game around. Karlaftis, he's probably the more consistent guy from play in, play out. But I also think Bonitto, I don't think we've seen the full picture of what he can be. Every single season, he has gotten a little bit better than he was the year before. Karlaftis, I think he's kind of been that same guy since about year 2 in the league. He's I mean, and it's a good player. I mean, obviously he just got a nice contract there. I'm not trying to take away from him, but I don't think we're going to see this all of a sudden big jump from Karlaftis to a top 10 edge rusher. And I'm not saying Bonitto is going to reach that level either, but I'm just saying I think there's still room for him to grow as a player. And I think he has found his place in this system. Is another big part of this, where they are a very aggressive system, telling him, hey, go get the quarterback. We're not going to ask you to 2-gap a whole lot, which is a good thing. You don't want to ask him to do that. And, even on some rundowns, we're going to ask you to take some chances, and we're going to hope that that's going to pay off in the long run to get those big time negative plays. And so Bonitto fits that perfectly. And I think it'd be a pretty good thing for the Broncos to get something done if they can. I'm a little nervous about this because the Broncos have also spent a lot at the position. Cooper got paid pretty okay. He used the 3rd round pick last year, I think it was 3rd or 4th round pick this year with Q Robinson. You got Tillman. You got a couple other undrafted guys that maybe could show a little something for you this year. And so I'm interested to see how that plays out. If they're willing to wait and say, hey, let's see how good our room is, and if we can live without Bonitto, or if they say, hey, let's get this done, and then we can start figuring out some things after this year with like Cooper. Maybe we move on from him so these young guys can come up, or we just keep this room really strong from top to bottom where we trust 5 guys to come in and make plays.
Yeah. No, I am with you, and good points. And yeah, make sure you tune in to see Carl with David tomorrow as well. So appreciate you coming in with the super chat there, David. Hope you're doing well out there in Shyland. I think you're out there in Chicagoland. Greg Smith, good to see you. Good evening. We got a guy, Daniel Berry Sports, DeAndre Weatherspoon coming in here. Phil says, none of you are rubbing my tummy. Oh, I'm persuasive, Phil. I'm persuasive. We'll see. Young saying, rest in peace, Ozzy, of course. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Good to see. We got William in the house saying Bonitto makes more splash plays. He's just a closer, right? It's a strikeout pitcher, if you want to call it that, to get that out, or maybe he's a home run hitter. You have a, well-rounded player, but a guy who the ball clears the fence more often than what it does with Karloff is going to be, I think there's a little bit more value on that, even as, caveman brain as it is. It turns out, getting those doubles and getting on base, you want a well-rounded player in the end, but if he can hit dingers, right? I don't know if you remember that Simpson episode. Like, do you want to find out the secrets of this, or do you want to see me hit some dingers? Dingers! And just hides the thing under his hat. Mace would be happy with the Simpsons reference there. We got DeAndre saying Buffalo ran right at Knicks in the playoff game. Kind of, to an extent. I also want to give credit that the Buffalo Bills probably have the second best offensive tackle duo in football. Spencer Brown has turned into arguably one of the top, if not the top, run blocking tackles in football. Deion Dawkins is incredible too. And that wasn't just a failure of Bonitto. It was the entire defense and the linebackers and the nickel play. I mean, this PJ Locke had a horrible game. It's hard to really pin it on one player in that one. They got thoroughly beat. And Nick Bonitto has problems there, but I think he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame. It's not Myles Garrett out there, right? There's going to be some areas just with his profile. He's not going to be perfect in every single spot. Now this is coming from somebody who was critical of Bonitto at the draft pick and early on, but what he does well is valuable and there is a market for it. And also, I don't know if you've seen him recently, but he looks pretty jacked. I mean, he's never going to be, again, Myles Garrett alien out there, or Michael Williams in the last draft class, where they're, they don't even have to bend down to touch their toes, kind of that giant alien frame, but he can improve there still, and he's amazing at getting after the quarterback.
You're right. I mean, it was a complete letdown by the entire defense. Defensive line was getting pushed back 3-4 yards. Linebackers were out of position big time. Bonitto, yes, he got pushed back too. I'm not trying to take away from him, but it really was just an all hands on deck bad day for the defense. And I mean, I guess Certan had a good day. It's probably about the only guy you could point at and say, oh yeah, that was all right. The rest of them, it just was not pretty. So, and there's not many teams that can do that to the Broncos. I also think that the Broncos worked hard to get a little bit better at that, improving their linebacker core so that they got a little bit more discipline, a little bit more veteran presence to understand what teams are trying to do at them. Defensive line, hopefully those guys can hold up a little bit better. You also took Savion Jones to maybe add a little bit of depth, and you hope some of the young guys can improve. Wazirike, maybe he can take a step up this year. Then your edge room, like I said, you've got some different guys this year that you were hoping take another step. Ellis, maybe against some of those kind of teams like Buffalo or Baltimore, you try to get a little bit more size on the field to hold up against the run game. You're going to sacrifice a little bit in the pass game, but Tillman, he's another one. I think he's 280, 285 for an edge guy. Maybe you figure out a better way to use that rotation this year that you didn't know you had last year. I mean, by the end of the year, you would hope they would have known, but I think they were still just trying to get their best players on the field. So there's a reason Nick Bonitto was a second team All-Pro. Yeah. Like, he had an incredible season. We cannot try to take away from that. One bad game doesn't negate what he did in those other 17. So we got Phil coming in, though. Thank you, Phil, with some stars saying, good evening, Nick, Carl, and Deacon Scott. Sad to hear Josey Jewell has to retire because of lingering concussion issues. Violent sport, hashtag Buckham, hashtag MHH for life, hashtag BFL. So, yeah, that's a tough one. You hate to see injuries. Go ahead.
I did want to correct. He's not officially retired, but he still has lingering concussion symptoms, and he wants to get healthy and whatnot. He's still in the concussion protocol. Was it 7 months after his last one? And it wants to focus on his health. So if his symptoms clear, he might come back, but we will see. It is really too bad. That was his third contract, I believe. He's been in the league for a bit, so he's made some money. Maybe he wants to get back up to the turkey farm in Decorah, Iowa, which is my favorite little spot in the entire state. So we'll see, but wish him well, and was a good, useful Bronco and a consummate professional during his years in the league. So shout out to him. It is a violent sport. He's also a smaller bodied for the position and took some major hits playing Big Ten West, rugby style football out there as well with Iowa those years. So yeah, too bad. Hasn't retired yet, but this may be this might be the last we've heard of him in the NFL, with the concussion symptoms lasting 7 months after he's got, I think, 2 kids also. So it would make sense if he did step away.
Right. And I think, I mean, we've seen a lot of players retire this year.
Mm-hmm.
And even a lot of them waiting up until the very last minute, because they do love the game, but they also understand that there's some long-term ramifications for making a choice of coming back for another year. And like I said, some of them have young families that they want to go take care of. So if they've made their money and they want to step away and try to save as much health as they possibly can, I don't blame them one bit. I think some of the older players that have retired 20, 30 years ago, if they would have known some of the things that they know today about health of the body and stuff, maybe they would have retired a little bit earlier so that they're not having as many issues as they are right now. I know you've been a big advocate for healthcare for life for these guys for what they do on the field. And I don't disagree with you one bit. So he's another one, like I said, was a great Bronco, great player for Iowa. And I wish him well, whatever he does make the choice. If he does come back, that's great. If he makes the decision, I'm going to go be with my family and, like I said, hang out on the farm, great for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Wish him nothing but the best. Also, you got Michael Ronquillo talking about Zach Tom's contract. Zach Tom, 4th round pick 4 drafts ago, kind of play right tackle, might play center. He's a good, useful piece. Broncos he was one of the guys I was high on. I mean, granted, high on a number of guys, but ended up taking Owazurike and Mathis instead. But Tom would have been a useful one for sure, and happy to see him get paid, I think, out of Wake Forest. So moving on, though, Broncos are back, right? We got some people in the house, practices and everything, but we had some podium sessions today, including current face of the franchise, at least on the defensive side of the ball, and potentially the best defensive player in the entire NFL. Maybe not the most valuable. The contract speaks value with the edges and pass rushers versus the cornerbacks, but maybe the best. Patrick Certan, he took the podium today, and again, talked about it with Jewell. It's true for Certan. Consummate professional. He doesn't really follow other than the best dressed kind of thing and wanting to have that good swagger. Signed the Jordan deal. Apparently one of the few players that has the exclusive Nike NFL Jordan deal now. So, but he took the podium today. And I mean, gosh, really excited to see what he can do again this season. And I'm very optimistic. I don't know if he'll repeat defensive player of the year, because it's really hard to win it twice in a row, let alone for a defensive back. But man, he's on a first ballot Hall of Fame all decade team pathway right now.
I think it was really neat. The media were trying to get him to essentially kind of hype up all the things that he's accomplished, and he just stayed very humble through the entire conversation. Nope, I got more to do. I got more to accomplish with this team. And I just was very impressed with his demeanor, considering all, like I said, he got to go meet Michael Jordan. He got to add this hardware to his trophy room, all these things. And yet he just, nope, I'm going to keep going. And I think of being a 1st round pick, making all that money, didn't change him. He got this huge 2nd contract, didn't change him, actually played his best season ever after he got his 2nd contract. So those kind of things, I think it just shows the professional player that he is, that he doesn't let those things get to his head. He doesn't let it, well, I'm at this level, I don't have to do all these little things to be great. No, he just keeps going and being that true pros pro that you love to have on your team.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's no secret, everything is connected in football. The offense, with the offensive line playing well, Bo Nix protecting the football, the pass rush taking off last season, and Certan, everything is positive feedback loop, feeds into itself. But we do have some clips of Certan that we'll be pulling up here in a sec. But we got Joseph Grubbs first says, what's your biggest concern on defense besides inside linebacker? It's probably the fact, as much as we love Bonitto and Zach Allen, I don't think either are, Micah Parsons, Chris Jones, Aaron Donald type of Von Miller at his peak type of game wreckers, where you don't have that on offense either, but kind of like I need a bucket. This is the guy who's going to close absolutely for me, no matter the circumstances. I think Bonitto is a tier under that as a pass rusher. And I think the contracts will show that as well whenever that comes out, unless we wait a year and he plays another season like he did last year. But right now, I think it's probably just the lack of a no doubt first ballot Hall of Fame superstar on the defensive line, which again, you can get around that if you're really deep. It's just harder to replicate that year after year.
Yeah. I think for me, it's that you kind of hinted at it there, but the regression. A lot of these guys played their very best year in the NFL that we've seen, and it wasn't even close to some of their other years. So do we see some of them regress back to what they were before? Or is this, no, this is the new level and this is how they are in this scheme, and they just got the most out of them. The coaching staff has really just maximized these players, whatever it may be, whatever you want to call it. I worry about regression on that end. I think some of that's going to be countered by the fact that you got Varrin, you got Greenlaw, you got Hufanga. So those kind of talents being added probably counter some of that. But at the same time, like I said, you were hoping to stay at that top 3 level. Now you add these guys and take you to the next level, not regress in some ways, but then kind of bounce back this way kind of thing. So that's probably my biggest worry.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good one. And we got a clip here pulled up from the handy dandy producer. So appreciate him. And this is Certan on potentially the actual face of the franchise, Bo Nix, and really excited to see what these two can do as the faces of the franchise this year and going forward.
You know, Bo, he's even more confident going into this year. Obviously, with year 1 under his belt, a lot more confidence rises upon that. So, the team, we have Bo back through the whole way through. I mean, he's a tremendous leader out there, obviously a tremendous player. So, this year he's going to make a lot of noise. And, we're looking forward to see what he does and his success moving forward. So,
hard not to love Patrick Certan on the mic. You hear the beeping in the background going on with the construction of the facilities getting improved and worked upon, but love that. Bo Nix is going to make a lot of noise this year. Kind of weird. Bo Nix not making a lot of noise today, not presented in front of the mic. Obviously, that's not by accident, whether it is to protect him from the Sean Payton protecting him, or Sean Payton, kind of also like, listen, you're great, but you're still a young buck and you got a lot to learn here. So it could be either way. I'm curious what I think Sean's scheduled to be on the mic tomorrow, but yeah, as Certan says, he's expecting Bo Nix to make a lot of noise this season, which is high praise for the typically relatively soft-spoken Patrick Certan.
I agree. I think every player on this team has a lot of confidence in Bo, and I think he's gone about this the right way. He hasn't come in there going, I'm the guy, respect me now. He's earned that respect by the way that he works day in, day out. Mike McGlinchey talked a lot about that, of just the daily grind that he's willing to go through, that he's willing to try to improve every week, as we saw last year, where we really saw him just kind of work hard throughout those really bad games there to start the season. And he just kept going, kept trying, and eventually things started clicking for him. And that goes a long ways for those guys when they see this is a guy that's very dedicated to his craft and wanting to be the best that he could be. And we'll have to see what that can be for Bo Nix. We don't know where his ceiling is at, which is a nice thing. And, I know a couple of comments there I saw, like Freeland had Bo Nix as the number 8 quarterback. That was for fantasy football.
Which makes sense.
He's going to be good for fantasy football. And I mean, I had him as one of my backups last year on my team. And there's a couple games that I put him out there because I'm like, I think this is going to be a great matchup and he's going to produce a lot of points. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see how defenses adjust to him, how Sean Payton decides to try to use him a little bit more this year. And 3, just the new weapons. How does this really change things? I was going to ask you, and we'll get to this contract or this comment from Phil here in just a second, but the wide receiver 2, 3, and 4 position is just very intriguing to me because I could, a guy like Troy Franklin, I could see him as the number 2. I could see him being cut. I think he's got the highest variance of any wide receiver on this roster. And I'm not sure where he's going to end up. We'll just have to see how much he worked in this offseason and is ready to come in and just really explode onto the scene or fade into the background because he doesn't help in special teams a whole lot. Vele, can he take another step? You got in Bryant. What's he going to be for this offense? Mims, can he emerge more as a true wide receiver, or is he still going to be more of that gadget guy for you? I think that's going to be one of the most intriguing positions in all of training camp this year.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. It is really interesting. And I think I've said it on the morning shows a bit, but I am expecting Ingram to be your de facto wide receiver too, in the end, just by all intents and purposes. It sounds like he's playing as much slot as he is in line, if not more so. And it's going to depend. Obviously, they're going to use him around a lot, but with the slot usage and how much Peyton likes to use 12 personnel, that's maybe imitating 11 personnel. I think Ingram is essentially going to end up your wide receiver too, but you're definitely right. It's there for the taking with the four wide receivers that you mentioned out there as well. And heck, maybe even Sherfield has a chance. I think that, Sherfield. So we'll see. That is definitely the most interesting position group as far as questions entering training camp, because like as much as like we have questions about running back, and we're not going to find out as much about running backs, but thank you, Phil, so much. And what am I thinking about the contract? We're going to talk about Bonitto a bit tomorrow morning with Eric as well, because I know that we might have some differing opinions on this. We'll see. But right now, I think the floor is $24 million a year. I'm expecting him to get closer to that 28, which is the contract market for Josh Hines-Allen and Brian Burns. I think that is probably the market you're talking about for Bonitto right now. They're probably offering 24. His agent's probably asking for 30. I think if it gets done, I think it's going to settle somewhere around 28.
That makes sense. And I think it's fair for both sides. He's going to get the bump because those guys signed their contracts a couple years ago. So even if he gets close to that, it's still in reality making less than them, because when they signed it, the cap was at such a level and that was more of a percentage. So I could definitely see him getting somewhere in that kind of area. And I don't think Bonitto is going to be asking for the world here. I think he understands that as great as last year was, they're looking at the full picture and understanding that he's not truly a top 8 to 10 rusher in this league. And so I think he's going to be fair in it, but I think the Broncos obviously recognize he is a talent. You're going to have to pay for talent.
Yeah, you're right. And hopefully they can get it done. It does sound like credit to Zach Stevens for this. I think he's back from his vacation. So reached out to him as I'll be moving out to Denver and just saying, hey, what's going on? Where are I know he's a hiker, so hopefully he can give me the inside scoop on some of these spots. But he mentioned that he wasn't so sure what it looked like as far as John Franklin Myers, Sutton, and Allen getting a contract done, but he was pretty confident Bonitto was going to be getting a contract done, which makes sense for a guy getting his second contract and just the work that he's done, getting to where he's at. Not that the other guys don't deserve it too, but third contract players, it's third contract for Sutton, right? It's not a fourth. It gets a little bit more, it's a little bit riskier of an investment in the end. So we'll see what happens here. But what's really valuable is when your rookies hit and are big contributors. And that's what we're going to talk about here. Patrick Stan talking about first round pick, Jaden Varrin.
What areas have you seen Jaden Varrin grow the most already?
I just think he's very smart. He's savvy. I mean, he understands the game pretty well. Coaches put him in around different positions. I think that's harder to learn coming in as a rookie, especially with, VJ's playbook. But it feels like he's handling it pretty well. And it seems like he's up the schedule on things. So I'm excited to see, what he brings to the table this year.
Man, love it. And really excited for Varrin this year. Who knows what the ceiling is? He's a little bit smaller guy, doesn't have the arm length. He did fall to 20 overall. There's some questions about, how much value if he is purely slot, going to be a safety, blah, blah, blah. As your player off, like Robin to Certan's Batman in the secondary with his versatility, his ball skills, instincts, and you hear Certan talking about him there. Really excited for what Varrin can look like this season. I mean, Dan Parr for NFL.com had him ranked second in Defensive Rookie of the Year odds. There's only been 3 defensive cornerback defensive rookie of the years in the last, I think he said century. I don't know. It was like a long time. It doesn't happen very often for cornerbacks. Same with defensive player of the year, but very excited about Varrin. Again, it still feels like weird that he is the Broncos. Like, I know it happened in April, but like it just leading up to it, it didn't feel like, oh, they'll probably be okay with McMillan and Moss and everything. But man, adding to his strength and adding heck of a talent and trusting your board. So excited to see what he can do this season. Really happy he signed his contract. Literally, was it the night? Like as soon as we got off the show, we were talking about it. Or yeah, I guess maybe, I don't know if you were here last Tuesday. Recently, we ended the show on Tuesday night, and like just a little bit later, Varrin signs a contract. So the Broncos are supposed to get their news done Tuesday morning so we can talk about it. I need to get in Patrick Smythe's here on that one. But no, yeah, excited to hear what Certan says about Varrin there.
I think if there's anything that you would love to hear about a young rookie coming in, especially early on, it's their intelligence. You know, we know most every player that's come into the NFL, they're athletic, they're gifted that way. There's not much question there. That helped them to get where they are here in the NFL. But to actually hear about their intelligence, that's the bigger part. You know, I always kind of remember when people would ask different players, hey, how's Paxton Lynch? He's got a big arm. He's big. He's strong. That's not what you want to hear about your quarterback. Like, oh, I mean, it's okay, but we already know that. Like, nobody has to guess whether he's big, strong, and can throw it. How's he picking up the offense? How's he in the film room? Is he picking things up? Does he understand how defenses work? That's what I'd rather hear. And so to hear this about Varrin of, hey, yeah, they're trying him at a lot of different things. And I know Sean Payton's talked about it. You know, it's kind of like drinking out of a fire hydrant. And you're throwing a lot at him and you're trying to see where's the breaking point for him. And the fact that he's trying to learn multiple positions right now as a rookie, I don't usually like that, but I kind of like it for him just to really test him, push him as that first round pick. And I do hope that they can move him around. Maybe not as much early on, just because, again, I don't want to have too much on his plate. And then with the way that this defense runs, one mistake can be a really, really big play. You know, if you're playing a lot of cover 4, cover 6, you've got a lot of safety over the top. So if your guy messes up underneath, it's not as big a deal. But I think he's one of those few players that can really handle it. I like that he's a little bit older rookie. I know it sucks for second contract if that's what we're going to get to. And he's already turned in, 27, 28, somewhere in there. And then you're going to be paying a cornerback that kind of money when you start seeing some of the decline. But for now, I think he is one of those few rookies that you can trust a lot with, and he can go out there and produce for you. So like I said, we've got this strength that's now turned into a better strength. And I'm excited to see some of those big turnovers that I think he can really bring to the defense.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's one thing that can take this defense to the next level would be leading the league in turnovers, more defensive points, and really get the ball rolling there and put pressures on team. Because as we saw, when you have a defense doing that, it can snowball in a hurry on other teams. And then you can dictate and lean into the offensive line, the run game, ball control. That's what old ball coaches, Bill Parcells' disciple, Sean Payton, would probably love to see this season. We also did have, so shout out to Certan. Congrats to him. Again, coming off the Defensive Player of the Year, and seems as humble as ever. I'm glad we didn't hear, at least that from what I heard, no conversations about the other cornerbacks getting paid more around him. I'm sure, obviously, he's aware.
Yeah.
Lord knows what that looks like. The Broncos got a lot to take care of before we get to that point. Maybe, a year from now we can be talking about that, but hopefully we're okay this season. But we also had Mike McGlinchey take the podium today, which sometimes has been, it's a little shocking, I guess, with Bo Nix here and how well he played last season and how much Sean Payton loves to hype up Bo Nix. But McGlinchey has been one of the front of the line guys ever since Sean Payton came here and McGlinchey was signed. They've absolutely adored putting him out there. He's very intelligent, well-spoken, and just seems like a interesting man. I really enjoyed the aspects. He kind of talked a little bit about the mental health and the pressure of playing in the NFL and not having to be what other people talk about him to live up to their expectations. He just needs to, talk with his coaches. We got Jesus saying tacos. Careful, Jesus, you'll get booted if you start spamming. But we do love tacos. It is Taco Tuesday for sure. But shout out to Mike McGlinchey, just kind of opening up a little bit there and showing the people here. These are real people, and some of the stuff they're not immune to the criticisms and the talking heads, but learned a little bit, grown from that, and it does seem like he's in a good place right now.
I love listening to him talk. And it was kind of funny. One of the media people were talking about the offensive line and the success they had last year. And somebody said, was that your best year? And he started getting a little bit red in the face. I don't want to say it, but yeah, it was a pretty good year for me. and I also loved though, that then he talked about, but we can be better.
Yeah.
Like the run game, talked about the running backs coming in, talked about their work up front, that they've really got to get that going this year. And I really think, Bo Nix, I have big expectations for him, but if this offense especially is going to take that next step, I think it's going to have to be through the run game. I'm glad they got Evan Ingram. I'm glad that they have these young receivers that could maybe be something for you. But RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, that's where the big drastic change from last year is going to have to be. If they can be a top 12 rushing team on top of what they were able to do in the passing game last year, we could be looking at a top 10 offense and feeling very good about them complementing what the defense can do and being a team that teams fear and say, crap, we have to play the Broncos this week. I saw somebody earlier talking about how the Broncos were ranked as the number 6 offense. I know Mr. Nick Wright was really ticked off about that, saying there's no way that the Broncos are better than the 49ers and the Rams and I can't remember some of the other teams that he was listing, and he might be right. Maybe people are jumping too quickly now to the Broncos after making the playoffs, but still, you like what you see on this team, that there are some real high potential for this offense to be something and not be the anchor that continues to hold this team back like we've seen for so many years now. And like I said, that run game going to be a huge part of it. Offensive line, they take it very personal, the run game being a strong unit. And I think that was one area that they were very disappointed in for sure last year.
And McGlinchey kind of talked about it a little bit too, having everybody back on the offensive line and sprinkling in a few rookies here and there as well. It's pretty rare. It's one reason that I've been vocal about, long-term perspective, this isn't a make or break season, but for this iteration of the Broncos, this cycle, this is a make or break season because there's going to be a lot of familiar faces gone after this year and new faces in. That's the way the league works, right? The churn, it's constant. But right now the Broncos are pretty much Williams, new punter. That might be, hopefully that's not the real wild card this season, the punter, because punters don't win you many games, but they can certainly lose you a game. But I digress. We can save that for when we start to see what the punting game and the coverage units look like. But yeah, no doubt the offense should be good this season. They just have such a high floor. When you have Bo Nix, who's protecting the football, not turning the ball over, the offensive line that they have, and of course, Sean Payton, the floor is very high. I'm not going to say this is going to be a top 5 offense. So that would be shocking to me this season. But I think anything below 16 would be disappointing because, again, that offensive line comes every week. Sean Payton comes every week. You might be there's games I do worry, can the Broncos win in shootouts against these elite teams? I don't know. We're going to find out, right? There's going to be games where the defense doesn't show up and it's going to be the offense having to go drive for drive in the drop back pass game as well. Didn't see that last season. That's okay. It's just, I don't know. We will see. But man, the floor is exceptionally high and that can help the young rookie. Means there's not too much pressure on a lot of these young pass catchers as well right now. And it complements the defense. So it's a good spot. We'll see what the ceiling is. Very confident in the floor.
I'm with you there. Like I said, anytime you've got a strong offensive line, we know what they are. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be this giant drop off unless there's injuries, knock on wood. Yeah, there we go. And so we should expect the same as what we saw last year for the most part. Maybe some improvement just because they have been together. They've got that chemistry that most other teams don't have right now. And I think especially early in the season, that could be a huge advantage when they've got that kind of chemistry where they know what to expect from each other. And also, like I said, play caller, I think I saw something that said head coach and quarterback. This is the first time the Broncos have had the same two going into a second season since 2014. So, I mean, that just seems crazy that it's been that long since we've had both those return for a second season. When you think about what they've tried to do at those positions, draft picks, free agents, coach after coach, and nothing's worked. So to finally have that settled just makes such a big difference, especially early in the year. So I do, like I said, we kind of know the floor. We just got to see if RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, if they can really emerge as a dynamic duo in the run game and in the pass game too. Let's not try to take away from that, because Sean Payton loves the running backs in the pass game. You were talking about Evan Ingram being really the number 2 wide receiver. Maybe number 2 in targets could be Harvey.
I mean, it was Williams last year, but also you have 2 running backs right now, and they trusted Williams in pass protection. Right. I think there's a chance that, it could end up be Dobbins, right? I wouldn't bet on that one as much compared to Ingram. But granted, Ingram has an injury history. I don't know. We'll find out.
Right. So they're going to get plenty of targets too. It's not just on the wide receivers for this offense to be able to have a passing attack by any means. And that's the nice thing about the Sean Payton system is he will attack you from all positions. He will make sure to have players that can win in the pass game, from tight end, from running back, from wide receiver, from the slot, from the outside, and that's when his offense is functioning at its best, when he can really throw lots and lots of things at you and not know where you're going to be hit from. This receiver could go for 100 yards receiving. This running back could go for 100 yards receiving. And it's just that's when it gets fun to see. And last year, they just didn't have the pieces to do that. And also, Bo Nix, as much as I loved his season, there are some limitations. They schemed things up to make it easier on him, which good for Sean Payton. Yeah.
You should. Yeah.
If you're not doing that as a coach, that is stupid. Even for a veteran. Patrick Mahomes gets things schemed up easy for him from Andy Reid. I had a disagreement with somebody on Twitter about this earlier, and they're like, well, they schemed up too much for him, and that's why I know he's not going to be able to make it in the NFL. I'm like, every coach does that, or the good ones do. You don't just say, hey, we're going to drop you back and we're going to run 4 verts and you've got to figure it out. Good luck. No, they don't do that.
So stupid. If Bo Nix was 5-6 years into his career and he'd been great over multiple iterations, people would look past it. But because the questions about him being, 6th quarterback drafted, that's why Patrick Mahomes gets a pass. And rightfully so, in my opinion. Rightfully so. But also you shouldn't dunk on Bo Nix for unanswered questions too much, right? They're unanswered because he wasn't in the situations where he had to be in these constant dropbacks, and he wasn't in a favorable environment. The card deck is going to shuffle multiple times. When you have the stable constant variable and they're continuously great, that's when that quarterback's good. So there can still be questions about Bo Nix. There's room for both. It's in the middle, of course, but dunking on him constantly, it's not an indictment. It's just we haven't seen it yet, which is fine. That's a good thing. It's the same. It's not Bo Nix being Tom Brady, but how often in Tom Brady's career, game manager, check down merchant, he's just relying on the offensive line and the defense. You're trying to protect your quarterback to not put them in the situations where they have to be a hero 24/7. You want to be able to break the glass in case of emergency and do that, but it cannot be your game plan every single week, or you're going to lose football games and they're going to lose confidence. They're going to get hit. They're going to turn the ball over. So again, long enough sample size, big games where you have to go back and forth in drives, we will get those answers. I'm glad we have those questions right now, though.
Right. And the fact that his rookie season, even though we don't have all the answers, he was able to do what he did. Do people realize he had the 4th most passing touchdowns in Broncos history for a season? The only player to have more is Peyton Manning, 1st, 2nd, 3rd on that list for his years here in Denver for 2012, 2013, 2014. John Elway didn't throw this many touchdown passes. Given it was a different era, I'm not trying to take. I'm not. Yeah, let's not get into that discussion. He's not John Elway, but I'm just trying to show that for a rookie and to have some of those unknowns, I'm not going to call them limitations. The fact that he was able to go out and do the things he was is just pretty darn impressive. And he didn't have great weapons to be thrown to either. He had Cortland Sutton and not much else. Yeah, Marvin Mims is a nice gadget player. I'm not trying to take away from that. But this year, the weapons that he has, you hope for a lot more just from them. And I had somebody that tried to bring that up also of just he's checking down to these players and letting the players go make the play. Yeah, aren't you supposed to do that as a quarterback? I don't know. It just, some of this stuff I'm going, I don't know where. I know you're trying to discredit Bo Nix. And so you're trying to take all the credit away from his season and give it to everybody else. But he did what you expect a quarterback to do. He protected the football. He got the ball into the playmakers' hands. They went and made the play. Yeah, that's great. But they won a lot of games with having this like $90 million anchor holding them back with dead money. And now they've gotten away from that. They've added to the roster. I just, this idea that there's going to be this giant drop off from him this year, I think is there might be some areas that maybe there is a little bit of a sophomore slump. I'm not trying to say that it's just all of a sudden going to be all uphill for sure with him, but I just don't see also this huge tank of a season where you're going, oh crap. Yep. All these negative people were completely right about him.
It's frustrating, but it's also understandable. Small sample, preconceived notions on him. So just have to repeat it. Do it again. And I want to see him do it again too. Troy Boer coming in as we start to wrap up here. $19.99. Thank you so much, Troy. Orange. I love blue. I love green. Orange is my favorite color. Carl, you know how much I love hiking, backpacking. I want to get more into mountaineering. God, I would kill for an orange Arc'teryx Beta AR, which is like an all-proof jacket, but they go for like $600. But this is like the kind of orange, what you want on the mountains, in case, there's my corpse down there. It's the orange one. But Troy says, finally made a night show briefly, barely. Reading's essential. Thank you, Troy. Well, barely counts. You're still here. Glad football is back. Kind of more excited this year than in a long time. Feels good. Let's get a few more players resigned. Good job using resigned with the hyphen in there. Nobody resigned, but we got re-signed. And please no major injuries again. Thanks, guys. Absolutely. I've talked about it on all the shows. This is excited and optimistic I've been about a season since going into the 2014 season. And also, I will add no major injuries. Also, no arrests. Let's everybody call an Uber if you are drinking, stay out of trouble, and let's do that as true. So no injuries, stay out of trouble.
Yeah. Thankfully, the Broncos have done a good job these last few years of keeping their names out of the news during the offseason. And most of it's all been just good stuff, vacation pictures, training, those kind of things. And it makes it, I hate to say this, it makes kind of a boring offseason from June and part of July because there's just not much news. But at the same time, it's good news because, like I said, nobody's getting in trouble. And now these guys are back, and it's just going to be a whirlwind of a time. And so I'm excited. We've got news coming back for the Broncos, real football news from the field. And now we get to actually see what this team's going to be. And like I said, there's a lot of reason to be optimistic and excited to see what these Broncos can do this year. I don't know. It's the sky's the limit. I mean, they really could be competing for a Super Bowl this year. If everything goes in the right direction, it could also be where they're fighting for a playoff spot and having a tough time because the AFC is a tough division or conference, I should say. Sorry, not division. AFC West is a tough division too. Yeah. So all those games, it's going to be a tough year, but at the same time, glad that we've got a team that can actually compete.
Yeah. Top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL all reside in the AFC. Who is the best quarterback in the NFC, Carl?
That's a great question. Matthew Stafford?
That's who I would go with too. Yep. Hurts is great. Jaden Daniels is very intriguing, no doubt. Probably go with Stafford. Man, he's somebody, he can get a bucket anytime you need it. So Michael says, great show tonight. Appreciate you. And Deanna Hendry, woo, $50. Man, Carl will lift up his sleeve and show you his armhole for $50. So yeah, be careful there, Carl. Yep, he's yeah. Might want to retire that one. At least it's not a yellow stain there. But he says, I'm stoked for the season. I'm stoked that you're here, Deanna. This is incredible. I'm stoked as well, obviously. says, I believe in Bo Nix. I also hope Bonitto gets paid. Positive vibes this year. Can't wait for the meet and greet. Go Broncos. Well, thank you so much, Deanna. Yeah, I will have just recently have moved to Denver for the meet and greet. So I don't know if I'll have tickets to the game, but no excuse there, right? I'll be living there unless, God forbid, I have a 18-month-old, something, anything sick or whatever, then things can happen. But, I plan on being there. And Carl, you're there this year too? You're not going to skip out on us? It's not your third cousin's bar mitzvah or your friend's neighbor's down the street uncle's wedding or something going on?
So far, that is the plan. My kids were asking me, hey, what Sunday are you gone again, Dad? So I was telling them, I think it's like October 19th, 18th, something like that.
I want to say 12th, but we should probably know that. It's the Giants game.
I should probably get in on that. But no,
Yeah.
I was showing them, hey, this is the game I'm going to. And they're like, you're taking us, right? It's like, maybe not to the meet and greet.
It is 19th, Carl. I shouldn't have doubted you.
That's right. Know my dates. But
yeah. Yep.
But
yep.
no, I told them maybe there'll be a year where they can at least come to the meet and greet part. Maybe not the party the night before. That might be more for the fun of the adults.
Tequila. All righty. Well, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Deanna Deanna brought the party. Sorry, MBLE test prep, but $50 super with also Troy coming with $20. We appreciate all the super chat givers. David, of course, Papa Bear, also Michael Ronquillo. We got Carmelo, the Crunch coming in. Phil a few times as well. Phil, will rub that belly. Be careful there if you keep doing those super chats. We appreciate it. And make sure you guys are following Carl and I on Twitter. Carl's at Carl Dumler MHH. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also follow us at Mile High Huddle. We're over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. Instagram as well. Didn't mean to click on. That's okay. Great to see you. Instagram and subscribe, like, and share as the ticker says there underneath. Carl, any final thoughts? Obviously, football is right around the corner. I still, I'm enjoying the Alpine summer still, and before getting to move, I'm sad to leave Seattle, but Denver's probably second best. Sorry for the Bronco fans here. You don't have the same forests and water and volcanoes. I mean, I like it here. I'm sure I'll like Denver too. Any final thoughts?
No, like I said, football's back. I'm excited to hear the reports, what's going on at camp, who's beginning to shine. I've got a few names in my head of players that I think could really emerge this year. And we'll get into that more as we get into training camp. And it's back. Bo Nix, let's see what you got, bud. And if he's the man, man, the Broncos are here to stay for a lot of years.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Well, we appreciate everyone. Make sure you continue to choose kindness and compassion. Like, subscribe, share. Hit us up on Twitter, all that good stuff. Have a great rest of your night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Go Broncos.